Welcome into our In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. I'm Tom Leach, along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Wagering Development. Big day at Arlington Park in Chicago, and we're going to take a look at the All-Stakes Pick 4 that includes 3 Grade 1s. And the first one is the 9th race, the Secretariat, for 3-year-olds going 1.25 miles on the turf course. And as is the case with this turf festival every summer at Arlington, you get a mix of American-based horses and invaders from across the pond. So, Jim, where did you land in the Secretariat?
Yeah, this card is so much better than anything else at Arlington all summer long. It's amazing what kind of horses they got today. First of all, thank you for taking time away from your beach work down in the Bahamas to record this with us.
Yes, really there's a race book here at the resort where Kentucky is playing, so I'll be able to play a little bit on the Arlington card before the game.
Really is paradise, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
All right.
Well, let's take a look at the Secretariat. Who you like?
I narrowed this down to 3 horses. This was one of the unusual ones because the others, Arlington Million was almost impossible after a while. But the Secretariat, I think Analyze It is going to be the favorite in here. But I'm not sure that this habit he's had of hanging in the lane a little bit and got beat by a Catholic Boy the last 2 times. Catholic Boy's not running in this race, but he's only a neck away from being 5 for 5. He's got a lot of ability. Chad Brown's going to try to sweep the card here today. We'll be talking about Chad Brown a lot. He's 2-1 morning line. It bothers me a little bit that he didn't finish the deal, especially the last time against Catholic Boy. He had him beaten down the stretch, and Catholic Boy dove to the inside and ran him down. So we will see, but Analyze It is my pick here. But I'm also going to use 13 Hunting Horn for Aiden O'Brien. Aiden O'Brien could have a big day at Arlington as well. He's done that in the past. Hunting Horn came over here first time North America and ran third, only got beat on length of 3/4 by Catholic Boy in the Belmont Derby. So I think that he's got a chance to move up. And then I'm going to use a long shot in here for my third pick, Captivating Moon, the 7, 20-1 morning line. But this horse ran well in the American Derby last time out, prep for this race. At 3-2, got beat by Real Story, who's in here. But if you look back, he ran 5 behind Analyze It back at the Transylvania at Keeneland on a yielding turf course. I think he's got the capabilities of running a 90 buyer, which is what it's going to take to do this. And I think Captivating Moon at 20-1 is a bargain. So I'm going to use those 3 horses. Analyze It as my pick. It would not surprise me for Hunting Horn to jump up in Nevin, though, at the wire.
I played Hunting Horn last time. I think he is very dangerous here. I took a little shot with Sniper Kitten for the Ramseys. I know, talking to Mr. Ramsey back in the spring at Keeneland when the horse won at Keeneland, they are very high on this horse. And then he won most recently up at Canterbury, and he's a strong finisher, a 10-point buyer jump last time. And if he stays anywhere near that 12-1 morning line, I'll play a win bet. But I really think this is a race where I could see easily any one of those 3 winning it. Analyze It, Hunting Horn, Sniper Kitten, and then some other Euros I think merit some respect. You got Lucius Tiberius for Aiden O'Brien. You got Platinum Warrior, and Rosario takes the ride on this one. He's riding really well right now, and is a strong finisher, which helps in turf races. So I think that horse is dangerous. And then Dermot Weld sends one over, the 3 horse. So I'm going to use all of those when it comes to the pick 4 and spread in this race. And I think probably the way I would play it within the race is I can't get too high on anybody. I think I just try to play an exacta box, maybe Analyze It, Sniper Kitten, Hunting Horn, and then as many more as you wanted to add to it. And I think there's a shot that you could get at least one double-digit odds horse that are close to it that's in the top 2 in this spot. I think this is a tough one to handicap, but just a slight edge to Sniper Kitten because of the value on the morning line at 12-1. 10th race is the Beverly D, Grade 1 for fillies and mares, going 1 mile and 3/16. I think Sister Charlie looks awfully good in here. She is in peak form, ran superb at Keeneland in the spring, was great last time at Saratoga, getting up to win when folks thought it might be a little too short for her. I think the 9 horse that won on the Athena, the turf festival up at Belmont, certainly merits some respect. The 7 4-star Crook for Chad Brown. The other Chad Brown that I thought was a little interesting was the 8 Inflexibility. You get 8-1 on the morning line. You get Rosario taking the ride, as I talked about him earlier. And this horse jumped up to a 99 buyer last time. So a little more improvement would be good enough to put her right in the mix. And you're going to get a better price than you are on the other Chad Browns. So I thought that one was a little intriguing to play around with. But I'm a real big fan of Sister Charlie winning the Beverly D. How about you?
I can't argue with that. She was very impressive last time out. And one of my tickets, I started to single her here and go deep in the last couple, but I didn't do that. I went ahead and used her. Obviously, Chad's going to have a big day regardless. I'm also going to use 4-Star Crook, who beat her in New York. And the one thing that kind of bothers me about Sister Charlie, she's coming back in 3 weeks after that win in the Grade 1 Diana, which probably took a lot out of her. It was a tough race. And she won by like a nose. And so she's coming back in 3 weeks, and 4-Star Crook has 2 months to have gotten over her effort in New York. So I'm going to put her in there, and I'm also going to use Athena. I think O'Brien could have a big day as well, and she could be special. She's gotten really good lately. So I'm going to use 379 here. Sister Charlie's my top pick, but I'll also use 4-Star Crook and Athena. Donna Bruja could jump up and surprise somebody here. She's been off since the Jenny Wiley at Keeneland, and she's obviously had some issues getting back to training. She's run well off the layoff before, and she's got a couple 103 buyers in her background, and she beat La Coronel a couple times. So Donna Bruja would not shock me here, but I'm going to try to keep the ticket affordable using those 3 horses, 379.
11th race is the Grade 1 Arlington Million at 1.25 miles on the turf, just like the Secretariat, but this one's for 3 and up. And you've got Oscar Performance coming off just a sensational effort last time, and at Belmont, he is the solid favorite in here. How do you see the Arlington Million?
Yeah, he's a solid favorite, but I don't see him being a single. I mean, far from it. I've got 5 or 6 horses here, and I'm actually going to use 7 in the pick 4 when we get to it. And I think there are some horses. You talked in the earlier races about having some double-digit horses. I think you're going to have some really good horses here that could go off at 10-1 or better. I'm going to just talk about them very briefly in numerical order. The 2 Spring Quality won the Grade 1 Manhattan at Belmont in June, beating Sadler's Joy at 16-1. Almanar for Chad Brown won a $100,000 optional claimer after a 16-month layoff at Belmont. So I think he's obviously going to be in the mix. I think Devisadero could surprise him. He's always brings his race. He's probably a notch below the better ones, but he's always right there at the end. Money Multiplier is another Chad Brown. Almost got his Grade 1 at Monmouth in the United Nations. Deauville was narrowly beaten this race last year by Beach Patrol. Has not been able to get Group 1 in Europe, but he certainly fits right here. And Robert Bruce is probably the best overseas horse, is now trained by Chad Brown. He was bumped in the stretch last time out in the Manhattan and lost by 1 length. And then Oscar Performance, the 11, is going to be the favorite. Won the Grade 1 Secretariat here last year and won the Grade 3 Poker and is tune-up for this. Ortiz and Lynch, multiple Grade 1 winner. Very, very solid horse. But I'm going to go way deep here. I think a lot of horses have a shot.
I am going more narrow here. I like Robert Bruce a lot. First thing that caught my eye was the jock switch. Not Tyler Gaffleone's a promising young rider, but he's not Arad Ortiz, and they switched to Arad Ortiz in this spot. And this horse, as you mentioned, had a little trouble in the Manhattan. He's working great, and I think on his best day, he just might be the best of the bunch in here, but not enough to single. So I like Oscar. I will use Oscar Performance too. Could be suspect at the 1.25 miles. So I'm going to stick with those 2. Deauville would be my next option, and Century Dream I thought was a Euro invader that could light up the board somewhere in the Exacta Tri or Super at a price, so keep an eye on that one. But I like Robert Bruce in the Arlington Million, and I'll use 2 in the pick 4. Pucker Up is what wraps up this All-Stakes pick 4. It's fillies who are 3 years old going 1 1/8 miles on the turf in the Grade 3 edition of the Pucker Up. And I really liked Beyond Blame's race last time. Got wild about the 13 hole. Wish they had a little more of a run to work out a trip. But if anybody can do it, it's Giroux up there at Arlington. He rides that course very well. Usually does well on this day. This horse improved last time out significantly, and it was a real impressive effort, I thought, at Churchill. I think it's likely this race goes through Churchill Downs form. There's a smart shot for Rusty Arnold. Jumped up, ran well last time. It's a big class jump, but I think she could be good enough. Secret Message, the 10 or Massage, and then the 8 Deadline for a Price for Kenny McPeak. Merits a look at here. The other one that I wrote just off the 85 buyer last time was the 6 AA Zuli's Arch. So I'm going to use all of those, but I like Beyond Blame a good bit in the pucker up. How about you?
I almost singled her, and the only reason I didn't is because of the 13 hole. You're right, Giroux loves Arlington. He and Brad Cox are pretty good together, 32% this year. Brad Cox wins about 30% wherever he runs horses these days. So Beyond Blame is my pick here. But I'm going to use a horse as a second pick in here. I'm only going to go too deep that you didn't mention, and it's a filly that's improving. Michael Dickinson has a filly named Pamina, who won a mile and 8 to Belmont, optional claimer last out, and that was first time Ortiz. Actually, Irad rode her that day, and now Jose rides her. Either one's going to be great. Very improving filly, goes from a 55 to a 64 to a 79 to 83 buyer. Hasn't run the stakes races some of these other horses have, but sometimes these 3-year-old fillies get really good this time of year. Michael Dickinson's really good trainer and doesn't have many horses anymore, but he can get them ready. So I'm going to use that as my long shot in here. So I'm going to take the favorite, 13, the Beyond Blame, and the 3, Pamina, going too deep here, only 3 and 13.
Let's look at the pick 4. What's your ticket look like, starting with the Secretariat in the 9th race and an all-stakes pick 4?
Okay, going 3 deep here with the 7, Captivating Moon, the 9, Analyze It, and the 13, Hunting Horn. Then in the Beverly D, I'm going to go 3 deep with Sister Charlie, the 3, 4-Star Crook, the 7, and Athena, the 9. And I'm going to go 7 deep in the Arlington Million, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'd say Robert Bruce and Oscar Performance, 10, 11 are my top 2 picks. But I think it's wide open. I'm going to go 7 deep there. And then, as I said, the 3, 13, and race 12, Pamina and Beyond Blame. So my pick 4 is 7, 9, 13 with 3, 7, 9 with 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 with 3, 13 for $63.
We're similar in the way I think we see these races, but the ticket structure is different. I'm going to go 6 deep in the first leg, the 2, 3, 9, 10, 12, 13. Was going to single Sister Charlie, but I think you make a really good point about the 3 weeks. So I'm going to throw in 4-Star Crook as well. I like Sister Charlie a lot, but I'm going to throw in 4-Star Crook. Going to use 2 in the Arlington Million, 10 and 11, and then I'm going to go 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 in the pucker up, 13 being the win pick there, Beyond Blame. So I'm 6 by 2 by 2 by 5. If you want to take a stand with Sister Charlie, you could cut the cost of that ticket in half. But I'm going deep on the front end and deep in the last leg, and just using 2 in each of the 2 middle legs. Best of luck on what is going to be a great day up in Chicago at Arlington Park. You've got Saratoga, Del Mar underway as well, the Groupie Doll down at Ellis Park this weekend. So a lot of great racing to take advantage of. And when you can't get to the track, make sure you play through KeenelandSelect.com. We'll be back next Saturday for another edition of the In the Money podcast.